Hello. Not much going on with the Jester at the moment, so I thought I'd have a little look at this welder that I bought many months ago. It's going to be time to actually start thinking about using it soon, so I thought I might as well have a little play with it, get myself familiar with it, get it set up so I can actually teach myself to weld and hopefully eventually put the Jetta back together. Having a little look at it. This is what it is. Clarke Weld MIG 105 EN Turbo. It's just a budget welder. I bought it second hand, pretty cheap, just to start practicing with and everything. From forums and things, this is about the entry level you want to get for welding bodywork and things. You can just about turn it down enough to not blow holes through it apparently, but time will tell. So just having a look at it and we'll get it set up. Now I'm opening up the side of it here so you can see the wire spool where that goes and the little mechanism which it feeds into. This wire came with it. It's just about in good enough nick to use from what I can see, so I think we'll go with that. So just getting it set up, I've put the spool on there already. You can see it turns quite freely, which is good. What I'm going to do now is thread the wire through here, make sure it's nice and straight, free of burrs. Thread it through this little tube, across this little notch here onto this wheel, and then once that's done we can put that wheel down and the little motors here will push it through the tube to the gun. That's the theory at least, so let's give that a go. Right, so we want the wire to feed nice and neatly into this, so make sure it's rotating the right way. We don't want it to be coming up here and then going at some jaunty angle to go into that, so that's all ready to go there. Just thread it through this little tube. Let's get that out of the way. You can see it's coming over this motor wheel here and then into the tube the other side. Alright, now let's thread it through a bit. We can get this top wheel down. It clamps the wire in place between the two wheels and ultimately feeds it through. Right, there we go, that's held the wire in place. As you can see, I've got the gun here, it's got the gas nozzle on the end, so let's just unscrew that. And this little nubbin at the end there. There we go. Right, now we can switch this bad boy on and then try and feed the wire through. And there we go, we're through. Right. You can go off now. Now we're going to thread that little bad boy back on. And our shielding collar. There we go. I got that excess bit out there. I'll just cut it off. You can slacken that off and wind it back in, but for the sake of 10 mil of wire, I'm just going to go with the easy option and cut it off. There we go. Still got a bit poking out, ready to get welding. That's our wire feed done. Right, next up we're going to be hooking up our welding gas. Now, when I bought this welder, it did come with one of these canisters of welding gas. It's a CO2 argon mix. You can just use CO2, but apparently CO2 argon gives you a slightly neater, better weld apparently. But it's all horses for courses, but as we're doing body work, I think the mix is probably the better of the two. Got our little regulator here, so what we can do, screw that on top of there, hook it up to our feed, and then in theory we should be pretty much ready to go. Right, gas is all set up in there, all ready to go. As you can see, I am now donning my overalls, which are fire retardant, which is always wise. We have welding gauntlets, and of course bit of a mask, because you've only got one pair of eyes. So, here we have a couple of bits of scrap metal. It's really thin stuff, so for practicing this probably isn't the most practical thing in the world, but it's all I've got lying around at the moment. I'm going to pick up some more bits anyway. Just playing around with some voltages, as you can see. Here, got some that just blow holes straight through and some that don't do anything, so I think I've found a nice middle ground. I've got these two bits prepped, so now I'm going to try and join them together. Let's see how this works. Give her a go. There we go. Come on, focus, you bugger. Just got a few little spot welds to tack it in place. Let's see what we've got looking at like at the other side. Please bear in mind this is actually my first attempt ever at welding two bits of metal together, so be kind. But I should be able to. You know what? I don't think that's that bad. There we go. Right, I'll get a few more tacks along, see if we can get that whole joint done and see what we end up with. Blew through. There we go, my first ever attempt at welding two bits of metal together. Okay, it's not the prettiest thing in the world, but come on, that's not bad. I tried to run a bit of a bead here, which was against my better judgment, and as you can see, it's actually blown a hole through, but it's all part of the learning process. It's getting reasonably good penetration through there. These ones at the side and this one here that hasn't got through, that's just where my distance from it was a bit far, so the wire kind of got away from me and it didn't really catch properly. But all in all, first attempt, not bad. Time to keep practicing. Right, attempt number 2. Just tack welded that other bit of panel in place. I think that's fairly even. It's not too bad. I mean, the panels won't clamp together best. Like I said, I've just got one pair of mole grips here, and plus they're a bit warped from where I cut them all up and ground them together. So they weren't really ideally lined up, which is why I've got some little off bits like that. But as a whole, I think that's pretty even for tacking. Seems to have worked. Cool.